Today we're going to take a look at two very famous pistols, and we're going to look at similarities and differences. I don't want this to be a war or an argument session about which one of these is best, because that is, although a very debatable subject, we have to consider what you're going to be using the gun for. The one on the left technically is a pistol. By definition, that means that when you fire it, it will reload itself into the chamber with a fresh shell. This one does not really have a chamber set up like that because it has 6 live rounds that would go into the cylinder, and the cylinder becomes much like a chamber. So there's that difference. This is a pistol. We'll technically call that's a pistol, and this is a revolver. If you go to concealed carry course, many states require that if you qualify with a pistol, you are allowed to carry and shoot either one of these. If you are a revolver person and this is all you've ever shot and that's what you qualify with, then you have to therefore stay with that. Why is that? Well, this is considered a little simpler and this is considered a little more complex. How can we describe that? Well, it's in the functionality and the way that you shoot the two guns. Which one requires the most knowledge, I guess, for a beginner? If I was a salesman and I owned a gun store, which I don't, but I've been in plenty of them and seen this scenario played out, this situation. Someone comes into the store and they say, sometimes it's a lady. This happens a lot with ladies, and they'll come in the store and they say, I want to buy my first handgun. I've never really shot a handgun, and I want something for personal protection. So the person working behind the counter is going to set this one aside, and they're going to focus the majority of their energy on this guy right here. Now, I'm going to tell you, it is heavier, so if the person wants a really lightweight gun, that could cause a problem. We're going to go ahead and check this thing empty, if I can. So the simplicity of the revolver lends itself a lot to a new shooter, because all you've got to know is you push that little release right there to let the cylinder open up, and then you drop in 6 fresh live rounds, then close the cylinder and make sure that it engages in its lock works. And once that's all set up and it feels good and solid to you, you can put that in a holster where the trigger is protected. And then the only thing you really have to know is line your sights up the best you can. And if the person's in real close, you're not going to be using sights anyway. Let's be honest about it. You're going to be pointing the gun at the middle of the bad guy's chest. And that trigger right there is double action. So you're going to go like that. Just like that until the problem stops. So that's fairly simple. Now, as far as being able to shoot it well, can you hit with it? Well, this is a 64-8. This is a police pistol. The sights are not going to get knocked off because it's just rear sights machined in. The front side is part of the gun, so it's not going anywhere. You can line those sights up really nice. These even have a little dot on them, so you could line them up pretty well. And if they're lined up on the target and you got the front sight flush with that gap in the rear, and you do your work on the trigger, you can hit with it. Say, can you make this gun a little more accurate? Well, it depends on your technique of shooting. If you cock the hammer back, now you have made that trigger. See how the trigger comes to the rear? It's practically pulled. So now you could use it as a target gun out of the yard, shoot some cans and have some fun with it. And you could make the shot a lot more accurate because you basically cut your trigger pull in half. All right, bee, get out of here. So we got bees out here today. They're trying to be good, but I'm going to help them with that. So if you have to pull this out in an emergency situation, there's not anything that you need to really know other than you're going to do this instinctively. You're going to grab the gun up and you're going to start pulling the trigger. It's double action. It is going to rotate the cylinder and line up the next fresh bullet, next fresh round, live round. I know some people get upset. The bullet's the part that goes down the tube. Anyway, as it comes around, lines up, a hammer falls, and it's going to fire the round. When you pull the trigger again, it's going to continue to rotate the cylinder, go to the next live round, fresh round, and when it lines up with the barrel, it's like a clock, as clock works, it's going to fire the round. And you're going to do that over and over until all 6 are gone. So the beauty of this too is it can shoot any kind of round that's a .38 special that'll fit in here. It could be a flat nose bullet, it could be a hard cast bullet, it could be a hollow point bullet, it could be round nose, flat nose, semi-wad cutter. That doesn't matter. So these are not picky with ammo. I'll give that to anybody if they say these will shoot anything and the Glock really needs ammo that's designed for it specifically. That's true. Hollow points are getting them better and better, but if I want something to really feed reliably in a semi-auto, I'm probably going to go with ball ammo or something shaped just like ball ammo. Like I say, hollow points start to do that. But this is a good old police pistol. This is a Smith and Wesson model 64-8. It's a new modern pistol. The barrel's a 2.5 inch. It will fire plus P ammo, which is approaching the horsepower of a .357 Magnum without quite as much recoil. But simple. It's simple to operate. Like I say, all you got to know is be able to open the cylinder up like that, put your 6 rounds in, close the cylinder, make sure you jiggle it back and forth where it's locked in good and true, and you're ready to store that in the holster. You didn't want to just throw it in a purse, because that, you know, you could have a pencil or a skinny hairbrush or anything in the purse, maybe a lipstick tube or something could get in there, and this could get pushed around. Next thing you know, you're going to have an unexpected loud bang in the purse. So you do need some kind of a holster, something to protect that trigger, and that's your best safety. There is no actual physical safety on a revolver. It is what it is. If you pull the trigger, it goes bang. So now, let's, all right, B, you're going to have to be somewhere else. Let's take a look at this other one. I'm going to push the revolver aside. That got sold to the nice lady or young man at the store that never handled a gun before. It is simpler, and they were happy with that, and it could do the job. Now, this is what the police force, when they switched from their police gun and got rid of that, dealing with a little bit more crime, a lot more people, a lot more bad guys, a lot more drugs, they switched to something that was more like a combat pistol. And they went with the Glock 19 or a Glock 17. And this is kind of a copy of that. This is similar to the Glock 19, except this one's been on a diet. And by that, I mean it is set up for a single stack of ammo. So this one will only hold 10 rounds plus 1. So your total here would be 11 shots. Now that's obviously an advantage compared to the 6 shots over here. Now I'm going to try to leave that revolver. I'm going to let him rest, and we'll just continue to talk about the Glock. So on the Glock, let me go ahead and cock this open and show you that it's safe and unloaded. So there we've got an unloaded pistol, and let this mag fall out. The beauty of having a magazine compared to a revolver is you can pull that out, put another one in real quick. Or you could get this in a Glock 19, and I think it has a double stack. I think it's 15 rounds plus 1. So you could carry more ammo by having a little bit wider grip. Now let's talk about simplicity. For the new gun owner, this is not quite as simple, because you've got to know to load a magazine. Magazine has to be inserted here. All the bullets need to be just so. And by that I mean slam this down so all the bullets are stacked to the rear. Then you would load that in the gun, and you have to make sure that the magazine is seated all the way properly. And then you would let the magazine, let the slide go forward, and when it goes forward, it should in theory, chamber one of those nice live rounds into the barrel, into the chamber of the barrel. So now the gun is ready to shoot, and much like the revolver, at that point there are no external safeties. So they made it where a cop could make a transition. They wanted a trigger that felt long, like a double action take-up on a revolver, and the Glock does that. And they wanted it to where once you reach and grab this and pull it out of the holster, there's not any thinking. There are no external safety. Say, what is that right there? That's only a slide release or slide stop in this case. It will release it, but Glock calls it a slide stop. So no external safeties. All you've got is a trigger. And if you pull the trigger, it's going to go bang if it's loaded. It will run that slide to the rear, pick up the next round, chamber it up, and you're ready to shoot again. So you can shoot until that magazine is completely empty. In this case, 1 in the chamber and 10 in the magazine. So that would give you a total of 11 shots. Now, we're going to have to drag out the old revolver. Let's talk about something else. Got to make one more comparison here. I got in an argument with a friend years ago. I regret that I had an argument with him because I was trying to make this far superior to this. And we will go into this in detail later, but here was how the argument went. I happened to see the blueprint for one of these bad boys and found out that it's got 90-something parts to build a Smith and Wesson revolver. The argument was this is a simpler gun. Well, it's simpler to operate, but it's not simpler in construction. This has 90-plus parts, and this one has approximately 20, maybe 21, 22. You can argue that with me. But let's say this is in the 20s for parts, and this is 90-plus. This is getting closer to 100. I think 95 or 96 parts, depending on which model you got. So 90 parts compared to approximately 20 parts. The chance of this one having a failure over time, if it's abused, is going to be a little bit higher than this one. So reliability-wise, this one can tolerate different ammos. It can shoot flat nose, round nose, semi-wad cutter, shot shells. It can shoot low-powered, medium-powered, high-powered rounds, and it doesn't care. It's very not picky on that. This one, however, needs to have pressures and bullet lengths and bullet shapes that are pretty exact to make this function. If you let the power of the round get too low, the slide will not have enough power to come all the way to the rear, and therefore it will not pick up your fresh round, and it will cause this gun to get jammed. And that's just not going to happen over here. Even if it's very low powered, it doesn't matter if it's just barely enough gunpowder in there to get the bullet to come out the end. You can pull the trigger and it's going to cycle in the next one. So your trigger and your cylinder and the Lockworks does the work for you. And on this one, your operation is done by the gas that is inside the live round. So that's the difference in the two. Now, this is a short video, make this about 14 minutes. I'm going to go into these in great detail later. And we're going to show these on the farm, how you could use both these as a tool. We're going to deal with a zombie, and I'm going to show you some really bad things about this one, and I'm going to show you some really good things about this one. I'm going to show you some really bad things about this one, and I'm going to show you a really good feature of this one when you're having to deal with a zombie. So please come back for the next video, and we hope that you will tap that like and subscribe if you learned anything or enjoyed anything, or maybe wanted to start a nice argument with me in the comments section. Feel free. If you want to make some comments, some thoughts that come to your mind, or maybe even request something you would like to see covered in this, maybe something you don't know, or maybe something you've never heard talked about in this comparison, please feel free to send me something in the comments. If you want to make fun of me and give me a hard time, whatever you like to do, put it in the comments and we will read them and get back with you. Thank you so much for visiting us here at Whimsical Farm at Shoot Fire with Ashley. Over and out for now.